drifting along with the breeze. Just drifting along with the breeze. Come sneaking in here. I'm just drifting along with the breeze. We did that purposely. You got to know that. That was not done. I know what you guys are doing with your tape recorders out there. You're not fooling anybody here. Get away with it. Hey, do you mind if I do something very pompous tonight? I mean, more pompous than usual, you know. Really go all out and do something really pompous. Would you give me a little echo chamber? Before you, no, not yet. No, I'll give you the cue for it. You got it ready in there? Let's test the echo chamber. Hello! Hello! Boy, what a fantastic weapon that would be. You know, you go to the ball game if you carry your own echo chamber with, you know. About 700 watts of audio. Well, of course, this is coming, you know, with the miniaturization of equipment. And I say by the next decade, I'd say probably by 1980, you can look forward to the fact that you can be able to carry about 250 watts of audio in a box about the size of, box of kitchen matches, something like that. You know that size box. And just think what you could do with that. That's about 200, 300 watts of audio. I mean, really. You know, a lot of guts, man. I mean, that's a real audio. I don't mean a little bullhorn, you know, the kind you got today. I'm talking about audio. You got about 300 or 400 watts, and you can stick it in your pocket. See, and it's operated by pen lights or something, pen light batteries. You'll have to have a special, but maybe solar energy. You know, you just put up a little thing, maybe just a little parabolic reflector scene. It picks the sun up, and instantly the sun's energy is converted to 250 watts of audio power. And after all, this is the age of the total ego, and since the ego is part and parcel of our time, you're going to have reasons to display your ego. What do you think all this marker stuff that's going on the subways? Guys are writing their name. They don't write other stuff. They write their name all over the place. That's all. It's ego. You know, ego, E-G-O, ego. And so ego is very important. And so naturally, there's going to have to be technology to augment the ego. I suspect that technology has not yet caught up with the fact that one of the great markets is the ego. I mean, if you can come to a and say, do you believe that your voice is not heard enough and people do not recognize your tremendous ideas? Are you lost in the crowd by the little ego magic zinger-roomer? 250 watts of booming ego power. And all you have to do is reach up and press the button on your, you got a little button on your vest, and you just press the button, see, it turns on 250 watts of fantastic ego power. And the little antenna goes up instantly, picks up a little of the sun's rays, and you're sitting out at the ballpark, we'll say, for example, you're, way out there back at third base, way out there where the foul line hits the left field bleachers. You're so far back you can't even see the ball game, but you know that they're going to see you. So you press the button and you holler, "Yeah, killer bomb!" And it just echoes throughout the entire ballpark, and they can hear it all the way over in Jersey. So you're hollering out there at Shea Stadium. Just think how great that would be. Have you noticed today that the instant the television camera moves around out in the ballpark, people have an instantaneous TV camera detector. Somehow they know instantly where the camera is. And you notice everybody leaps up and immediately begins to wave. Well, now, I say that this is very old hat. This goes all the way back to the days of Milton Berle in television. See? So eventually, they will bring out products for that. They say, are you lost in the crowd when the TV camera picks up the mob back at third base, and there you are sitting amid all those people, and are you lost in the crowd? Well, can you imagine how groovy it would be to have a little electronically operated, battery-operated, miniaturized, remember, it's all miniature, you can carry it in your pocket along with all the rest of the stuff, ballpoint pens and all that, miniaturized neon sign that you just press the button, zap, there it goes, wowie, it unfolds, see? The neon sign goes, bam, unfolds real wide, and it spreads your name out in glowing neon. And the minute that the Lindsey Nelson says, so let's take a look at that crowd back at first base, and your automatic television camera detector, of course this is all very important because many guys have really flubbed the dub by sitting right there in the middle of the ballpark when the TV camera picks up the section that they're sitting in, and they don't even know it's on them. sitting there picking their teeth, At all the while they could be greeting the entire western seaboard, or eastern seaboard. They could be greeting everybody in Jersey, let them know that Joe, that old Aki is out at the ball game today, big Aki. And so what you need is a television camera detector. This is part of our new Ego kit that lets you know. You know how you've seen those radar detectors that you can buy when you're driving along a turnpike. You have a little machine that picks up the radars, lets you know that there's a radar down the street, and you can slow up to legal speed automatically. It lets you know that the fuzz is hiding behind the Sherwin-Williams paint sign down there with their radar on, and that you. Well, that's true. Isn't that what it's for? It's not there just because you're a radar fan and you want to hear the radar, is it? I know what it's for, and so do the cops. But nevertheless, I think one of the best ways to get around the radar thing, and I can tell you this as an ex-radar man, if you find owning a radar detecting kit is a little expensive and a little elaborate. I mean, you have that big machine there. What you ought to have, any guy that knows anything about radar can tell you that one of the great anti-radar devices is something called chaff. You know what is a chaff? Oh, well, now you're learning. This is a part of our educational part of our program here that we'd like to bring as part of the educational services on this important station. Chaff is spelled C-H-A-F-F. And chaff is pieces of tinfoil that you can buy. They're very cheap. It's like Reynolds wrap. It's little pieces of Reynolds wrap or tinfoil or something like that, cut to the exact wavelength or half wavelength of the radar set itself. So what happens when chaff? How do you use chaff? Well, if you're flying along in an airplane scene, you figure the radar is on you, right? And they're getting ready to put the whammy on you. Well, you release the chaff, and a great big cloud of this stuff flies out, and it completely confuses the radar because they get a whole big fuzzy, lot of blurs back. They don't get a nice clean pip anymore. They get a blur. See, they can't make any measurements on it. That's called chaff, right? And even B-52s have got chaff, so I don't think this is old hat. It's the real thing, friend. So chaff is very important. And I say that ultimately all good drivers who persist in driving 197 miles an hour on the turnpike and they don't want to get the arm of the law on them are going to have a chaff release mechanism. So the minute that you suspect you're in a radar area, you press a button on the dashboard of your car, and a little container on the roof of the car just shoots up a big cloud of chaff. Up it goes, see? And it just you can do it with a little air pressure thing, like an aerosol can. And a big mushroom cloud of chaff drifts down over the car, and no radar could ever conceivably measure how fast you're going. It's just a great big cloud of stuff there, see, and the chaff drifts down. Well, now this is all part of the personal anti-protection warfare kit that we all have going these days. And so I would like to suggest that we come up with a radar, some kind of a radar device that detects instantly when the TV camera is on you. You've got to know this if you're going to use your ego to its fullest extent. And so the minute the radar picks up the fact that the TV camera's on you, all this stuff goes into action immediately. Your ego echo chamber is turned on. It's all done automatically. After all, that's the best way. You want everything to work without any real action on your part. So the echo chamber is turned on, Joe. Instantly, your hello. Thank you, Joe. And then instantly, of course, up goes your neon sign. It just automatically shoots up out of the back of your coat. See, it's you don't even have to look at the camera. I mean, that gets pretty dull after a while. All you see is that machine. So the little pow, up it goes. The big sign says, Big Aki from Bellevue, New Jersey loves the Mets. I am Big Aki. And then you have a sign that points, one of those arrows that points down at you. You've seen those arrows that say eat in those diners along Route 3. Well, you want a sign that points right down at your head all the time. Says Aki, he's here. Big Aki. Don't forget, Aki's here. Aki's beautiful. And well, this is all part of our time. You got to have the echo chamber, and so the ego is becoming very important, and I would like to salute that tonight. Part of our pomposity show tonight. I would like to salute the one of the most pompous things, of course, that man has to offer these days is art, right? Art. I mean, art. I'm not talking about Art Fleming. I'm talking about art. I'm talking about art, right? Art. A-R-T. Capital letters art. So would you please give me my echo chamber? I tonight take this special occasion. I personally, big me, I am saluting art. That gives me a nice one. But would you give me a little music there to accompany my ego, please, if you will? Bring it on there. Please, this is ego music. Hooray for the ego. Hooray for me. I am fantastic. Just ask me, I'll tell you. Would you care for a little brochure here? I got a little write-up here that you'd like to see. I have it in 3 colors, and you can have a picture that lights up. Oh, don't forget that I am me, yeah, me. I am me, and I'm going to say me because I'm the greatest thing since bottled beer. I am me, razzmatazz and a Rudy too. I'm the biggest thing since they brought out sliced bread. M-E-E-M-E-E-M-E-E-E-M-E-E-E-G-O. I am me, and I think that's great. Hooray for me, yes, sirree. All together now, let's sing it out for me. Oh, he's well, cut it out there. You got Boodle Lamb Shake. I'll Boodle Lamb Shake you. Latitude, reset that, will you, Joe? Kind of like this, don't you? Well, of course, you're dealing with basic things. And as part of our salute to the ego tonight, we would like to salute the ego of a contemporary artist. Irish, of course, and the Irish have never been noted for their lack of ego. But nevertheless, this particular artist has just put on the art market, and I think you might like to know this. This is what's going on in the art world for those of you who are art fans. 30 pieces of 18-karat gold-plated chewing gum, chewed by an Irish artist, went on display at a New York gallery. The artist said that he chewed each piece for, quote, exactly 2 minutes, and then I just spit it out and sent it off to be cast in solid gold. Now, get the picture. This guy just chewed the gum. How many times have you, just think of the fortunes that you have kicked away by sticking gum on the bottom of the bus seat. How many times have you just carelessly, without even considering the fact that you're destroying a whole artistic career, you've stuck gum on the bottom of a seat in the theater, right? You've done it. Everybody, you haven't done it? Well, what the hell do you do with your gum? You don't chew gum. Well, then you've even gone even worse. You have blown a career without even starting it. To admit you don't chew gum is silly. This is WOR New York speaking. This is WOR New York. I repeat. Would you give me a little of that lovely Portuguese music, please? Oh, speaking of ego, in Portugal, they don't put your name up in lights. They put your name out in tile. How do you like that, man? You can have your name spelled out in tiles, forever last tile. TAP, the Intercontinental Airline of Portugal, has a 2-week royal treatment tour of Portugal and Spain for $453 that will show you the Portugal that the Portuguese have kept for themselves, like the little ceramic shops where you can have things like tile house signs with your name made for practically nothing. At cafes where you can stuff yourself with wine, cheese, and pastries for pennies and go out, just reeling around the street. And they'll show you their magnificent neighbor, Spain, and the beauties of that countryside, like their bullfights, museums, and charming countryside. So, friend, if you have an ego that calls for your name to be put in tiles so you can really have it last a long time, call your travel agent or TAP at 421-8500 for complete details. $453 for 2 weeks, including round-trip economy airfare. Now, that's the kind of a deal that they should put up in lights, right? Your name. Big Aki's coming to Portugal. Oh, that's embarrassing. Stop it. Cut it out. That's embarrassing. Well, it's Zit Kit time here, and it's a curious name. What it boils down to is if you have any skin problems, whiteheads, blackheads, and so forth, acne, and so on. Well, here's a new thing. It's called the Zit Kit by Dermacon Laboratories, and it consists of 3 proven medicines, which include this: the Dermacon Skin Cleanser, which does what it says it does, the Dermacon medicated lotion, which you use during the day to dry out blemishes and so on, and the Dermacon medicated cream, which you apply at night, which helps heal and soothe while you sleep. Now, the Zit Kit comes with all three of these things, and you can buy the Dermacon Zit Kit at Genovese, Whalen, Mac, Drug Guild, and other leading pharmacies. Now, the name is the Dermacon Zit Kit. In fact, they say give it a 30-day trial, and it costs less than 25 cents a day to try, and you'll see the difference. The name again is Dermacon Zit Kit. Try it. You can pick it up at the drugstore. But I would like to, if you think I'm kidding, here it is, right here. You think I'm inventing it. I will read you the art news bulletin from a gallery. I received this as a public relations bit. They think, it's great art. And this artist, he just took the gum. See, they did not say whether he used spearmint or whether it was, tutti frutti, or whether, whether he used dentine, which is more of a classical gum chewer. Because there are certain kinds of gum chewers who will not chew gum unless they feel that they're doing some good in things. They're helping themselves, so they chew dentine. But nevertheless, he took this pieces of gum. He took 4 pieces of gum, actually 30 pieces. Now, he started out with 4. He said people bought him. He thought it was kind of great. So what he did is just simply chew his gum for 2 minutes. Took a stick of gum, he chewed it for 2 minutes, and didn't do anything else with it. He just chewed it. See, took it out of his mouth, sent it off to have it gold-plated. Now, that's ego. That is ego. And then, everything he does is, beautiful. Has to even chew the gum. He's an artist. After all, an artist doesn't just walk around and chew gum like other people. He chews it with a purpose and meaning and passion. That's it, passion. He wants to say something, a statement. See. So then they cost $350 a piece. And he admitted, however, that anybody could do this. He says, that's true. He says, but after all, I'm an artist. And along with your piece of gum that you get, this beautiful piece of $350, it's not the real gum. It's just a cast of the gum. See, it's beautiful. You also get a picture of the artist chewing the very piece of gum that you have cast in your magnificent art collection there, $350. Well, now did you hear? I don't know how quite I can approach this, but I'm going to have to approach it from the standpoint of, after all, when one reports on the art world, one reports on the art world. One does not shilly-shally around, and art deals with life, right? It deals with the realities of our time. Well, there was a great big brouhaha in Rome here recently of an artist who had a show, and he displayed a collection of things which he had produced. You heard about that. You didn't? Well, he did. He displayed these things which he had produced. Now, he said, he said, after all, I'm an artist, and what an artist produces is important, right? So well, actually, since he was Italian, he didn't quite say it that way. He says, I was an artist. He produced it. And there was a great brouhaha in Rome as to whether or not this constituted art. Well, of course, all the avant-garde art critics maintained it certainly did. And all the other art critics, walked around and hollered, boo, boo. But we are making no value judgment. We are merely saying that he put these things on display which he produced. I will let your imagination take over. That's right. I'm not going to go any further than that. He produced them. And as a matter of fact, the chances are so do you. But nevertheless, he produced them, and he said since he was an artist, that made his production more important than yours. Right? And so that's actually what was on display. So now you see, the ego has come full circle. Now, oh, there are many people. Let's face it. I mean, anytime if you ever go out and get your hair cut, you figure that what you better do is collect all those hairs, because eventually there may be, great clamoring demand for actual cuttings of Big Aki's hair. Big Aki was this great person. These are called relics. You know what is it, a relic? Mm-hmm. Right. Well, don't ignore the fact that you are every day producing relics. Now, anytime you cut your finger, cutting your fingernails, you're producing relics that could be very important. Get your hair cut, Yeah, you better look carefully at all these things that you've been tossing away so casually. You've been throwing away your gum. Well, do you realize that gum, properly prepared, is worth at least $350 per shot if you get it properly gold-plated? And it doesn't even have to be well gold-plated, just as long as it's now this is what I mean about the flowering of the ego, and I kind of like it. I think it adds a great deal to our life. I have a friend, for example. Now, I don't know how he got into this hang-up, but it is a fact. He does this. Now, you're going to think that I'm inventing this. I am not inventing it, and in fact, I'm telling you this for what it's worth. It's true. This guy keeps notebooks. Now, he does this quietly, very secretly. He keeps notebooks. And in these notebooks, what does he put? Well, he very carefully records, and he's been doing it ever since he was about 5. And I asked him one day, I says, well, how'd you start? He says, well, I don't know. The urge came to me. Of course, this is all part of an artistic temperament. The urge comes to you. And it's unexplained. You can't explain how the urge comes. Well, believe me, when the guy was getting ready to paint, when El Greco was getting ready to paint Toledo, a view of Toledo, he didn't say, well, after all, he doesn't. The urge came to him to paint a view of Toledo, and he did. That's it. And there it is. Well, my friend, at the age of 5 or 6, had this urge to record in notebooks every meal he eats. I'm just throwing it out to you for what it's worth. He put down in a notebook what he had for breakfast, and then he put down what he had for lunch, then he put down what he had for dinner or supper. And he puts it down in exact details, like meatloaf, mashed potatoes, squash, Jell-O, and 2 cups of coffee. He writes it down. Now, he has notebooks. Of course, now the guy's a grown-up man. He's walking around guy, he's maybe 40 or something like that. And he has hundreds of notebooks. He keeps these little, and he carries them with him. Because, there's a little pocket kind, like little pocket diary type things. And he has notebooks that give his total gastronomical history back to the days when he was 5 or 6. And he says one of the great sorrows of his life is that he didn't learn to write until he was 5 or 6. He says, think what is lost in the history. There was a good 4-year gap in my 5-year gap in my gastronomical history. I said, well, what's the point of it? He says, well, you haven't seen the rest of it. You know what he does? He also puts it in different colored pencils. He doesn't just, he has these red pencils, green pencils, yellow pencils, and if he eats in, say, a hotel, let's say if a guy goes out and has lunch, say, at the plaza, he puts that in a blue pencil. If he eats at home, he uses black. If he eats in a restaurant, he uses red. Now, if he eats, say, has his lunch in at the office, that's a green one. He can tell at a glance what kind of a lunch it is. So he's got a whole code. And then he puts comments underneath each one, like ice cream, particularly good. In the Last of the Mohegans room in the Pitcairn Hotel in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And he can go back through all of his notebooks and tell you just exactly what he had, say, on his 9th birthday, what he ate. Now that, it's kind of a curious thing. So I asked him, I said, how come you do this? He says, well, maybe valuable someday. I said, valuable, Frank? What do you mean valuable? You never know. Didn't say anything more about it. Now I suspect that Frank thinks one day he's going to be a very famous man, and these notebooks will be invaluable. Like, can you imagine what Abraham Lincoln's notebooks about everything he ate from the time he was a rail splitter in Illinois at the age of 9, kept in his own hand, would be worth? That's right. So Frank is, working on that premise. He figures, you never know. Now, I know another guy. You want to hear another one? Now, these are true stories. I've not invented this. I know another guy who, since the time he was a little kid, this guy, since he was a little kid, he was about 5 or 6, something like that. He always would read the comic strips, see? And he got hung on comic strips. So every day this goes back to the time when he was a little kid, and if I told you who this was, you would be amazed, because the guy really has gone on to become a famous man. That's the curious curious reaction that you always have. He really did do it, see? But this guy, from the time he was a little kid, he was about 5 or 6, maybe 8, roughly 8, he began to every day, he would draw a comic strip. Every night he would draw his own little comic strip about what happened to him that day. And he drew himself as a little comic strip character. You know, like Peanuts or something like that, like Charlie Brown or Schroeder. And and it's an actual strip. It has little panels. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, and it has balloons coming out of people's mouths. And he uses real characters. You know, the people, like what happened to him that day, like his teacher said something, or some kid that was a friend of his said something, and they had this whole thing. They went out and played baseball and so on. And so he kept his life in comic strip form. Well, he continued to do this all the way through high school. Never missed a day. Absolutely never missed. Because, you know, diarists are a curious breed. I've never been able to do it. How many of you have ever attempted a diary? Everybody at one time, when you're a little kid, you start keeping a diary. Did you ever do that, Jerry? You never did it? Well, I've never ever done this, but yet they are a secret breed. They are a secret breed. And they are a secret type of ego, too. To believe that everything that happens to you in your life is worthy of writing down and keeping in a permanent form. And the diarist is a special breed of cat. He really is a special type, and usually an introverted person. Very few extroverts keep diaries. Introverts tend to do it. And so they live a secret life on their paper. On this paper, every night they write down, oh joy, at last it looks like love has come to me. And they write this stuff down. Well, in the end, this guy went all the way through high school. And he would every day he would put his life down in cartoon strip. Now that's an interesting technique. Instead of just writing it down, he actually kept it in a cartoon form. And as he got out of high school, he went into, I believe, the Navy. And sure enough, while he's in the Navy, secretly, he's keeping every day what happened to him that day in a cartoon form, and at the same time, of course, he's changing. Now he's got a sailor suit on, his character. And then when he went to college, he did the same thing. And to this day, this guy's a very famous man today. If I told you who it was, you wouldn't believe it. You'd be astounded. To this day, this guy, every day, goes into when he's away from the maddening throng and away from the applause and the acclaim of a multitude or whatever it is that they're doing at that moment, he goes off into wherever he goes where he can get that private thing, and he spends 20 minutes or half an hour. And now, of course, it's such an automatic thing now that he doesn't even think it's unusual. It's just been part of his life so much it's not even unusual anymore, So he goes off and he just quietly draws his cartoon for that day, and it's put in with all the rest. And now he has a fantastic. It keeps it in a big cabinet that he's had made specially for it, and it goes all the way back to the days when he was a kid. And he can pull out any year, any time. It's all cross-filed. He can pull out any day within any year. So if you come up to him and you say, well, let's take a look at your cartoon for, let's say, April the 7th, 1949. He says, oh, okay. He reaches up and pulls it out, and there's his cartoon. Isn't that fantastic? Now that's another example of the galloping ego, and yet in an odd sort of way, he has gone on to become very famous, and one day, I'll guarantee you, one day people will be actually publishing excerpts from his great autobiography done in cartoon form. A curious thing. I've run into guys. Of course, the ego and the arts have always been intertangled. After all, art is a form of extension of the ego. It takes a lot of ego to present what you do for the applause of the multitude. And I stand guilty. everybody who's ever performed really seriously as a profession, whoever has written or whoever has gone out on a stage, or whoever has gone to the gallery and says, hang these things up, these are great. He's part of that vast collection of people who go all the way back to the first caveman. You know, all the other cavemen were walking around, going out hunting mammoths, and one guy says, wait a minute, watch this, and he drew a mammoth on the cave wall. And how do you like that? And, of course, immediately, the crowd among the cavemen had to divide up into groups. One group says, oh, that's great. And another group says, oh, come on, my kid could draw better than that. And there's always that crowd. And then out of that crowd, one guy jumped up and says, wait, now, just one moment. Now, you don't really properly understand that. Now, I'm going to explain to the rest of you what he was attempting to do. He's the critic. The critic had to come out at about that same time. The critic popped out. So the idea of a that's the way the critic started, right there. You know, he says, wait a minute. And, I'll tell you what it's all about. And of course, by then the artist is sitting over in the corner. He's working on another one. See, he's working away on his great picture of all the antelopes. And in the meantime, the critic is saying, now, you realize that the way he has treated the back shows that he is emerging from his early primitive period and is now moving into a more sophisticated line. All the others, oh, yeah, I see that. And, of course, the career has blossomed. Without artists, you can have no critics. Without critics, you can have no artists. They're very important. And the worst thing that can happen to an artist is to have the critics not even, ignore them. That shows he hasn't done anything worthy of them even saying it's bad. So this is a big problem. But on the subject of the ego today, I was talking to a guy over in a place where they sell electronic equipment, and they sell. It's one of these these places in Midtown where they sell all kinds of junk. They sell. A little gimmick type jazz, little cheap transistor radios and Japanese cheap cameras and stuff. They had all this stuff. And somehow the subject got up, what really sells? And he said, I'll tell you what sells. He said, you know what the biggest seller we've got today? And I said, what? He says, man, it really sells. I said, what? He says, well, we got a fully transistorized bullhorn. He says, we really can't keep those in stock. A fully transistorized bullhorn. Well, you know what a bullhorn is. You've seen, hello, this is me. How are you, Charlie? He says, we sell bullhorns till hell freezes over. He says, they really go. And do you know what the other thing that sells a great deal, tremendous selling thing now, of course, is eavesdrop equipment. I'm not talking about bugging equipment. I'm talking about eavesdropping equipment. Well, you know what an eavesdropping equipment, that's one of these parabolic reflectors with a very sensitive microphone in it, and you hook it up to a little amplifier. The amplifier is built into the thing. It's plastic. See, the amplifier is built in. You plug in the earphones and you sit there and you can direct it around. You can aim it, see, and you can hear what the people are saying across the street, see. Two people are talking on a street corner and they're having a big argument, and you take your great big parabolic reflector and you zero it right in on it. It's even got a sight with crosshairs, so they can zoom it in right on you. And so these two people are over there having a big battle, and this guy is sitting there, he's got his earphones on, he's listening to it. And he says, now we've even got a really great model now. He says, you haven't seen anything. He says, we got a model that has attached to it. It has a built-in, it's molded right into it. It's a built-in tape recorder. So in case you hear anything really good, you just reach up and press the button, and it starts recording it. He says, and we have just gotten a brochure for a really improved model. He says, it's not only got a crosshair sight, it has got on it an adjustable telescope that you can watch the scene that you're listening to, and you can just zoom in on it. See, it's got a 10-power telescope. You zoom right in on it, and it's got a thing where you can attach a camera to the top. So you can take cameras, pictures of it, you tape record the whole bit, and you're sitting there quietly intruding in on other people's private lives. And I says, well, don't people feel embarrassed about coming in and buying this kind of stuff? No. He says, that's a whole new hobby. It's great. It's a terrific hobby. This is a new hobby. I said, you mean a hobby of listening in on other people's? Yeah. He says, as a matter of fact, he says, we got guys that come in here, he says, and they collect tapes and they trade them back and forth. Like the most obscene comments I've ever heard, the most intimate remarks I've ever done. And he says, and these guys are, he says, not only that, he says, some of them are even thinking of going on and having it put on a master disc and put on an LP. And I overheard. I said, well, can't they get in trouble? He says, what do you mean trouble? He says, don't bring that up. He says, no trouble at all. He says, there's no problem. He says, it's all technology. He says, it's nothing personal about it. I said, wow. But did you know that this is a big seller now? Oh, sure, you've seen these things. And he says, big seller, particularly among kids. The kids are, well, of course, there's no problem that doesn't have its antecedents. I remember myself, it's a common, I think one of the most natural things in the human desire, let's put it this way, the desire spectrum, stuff you'd like to do, that practically everybody secretly, at one point or another in his life, wanted to be invisible. The idea of being invisible is very exciting. Just invisible. Where you can go into situations and scenes and see things and hear things, and you're invisible. Nobody can spot you. Then one of the other things that everybody would like to do at one point in your life, you might have probably thought about it, to have X-ray eyes. To be able to see through things. Oh, sure. Joe, you must have been an earthbound person all your life. You were content to always be a turtle. Well, I will tell you that the higher the imagination quotient of a person, the more he tends to want to do those things. The more he tends to say, geez, wouldn't it be great if I could fly? And I could go any place I want. The magic carpet process where you can just take off and transmit yourself. You see a lot of this stuff in science fiction. One of the common science fiction themes is instantaneous teleportation, where a guy can transport his body instantaneously, electronically, to any place in the solar system. This is a common theme in science fiction. Also, another common theme in fantasy fiction is the invisible thing. You ever heard of the Invisible Man? Famous stories like that? Well, why did these things have a lure? Because you secretly would like to be able to do it. You walk around and you're invisible. And that is another part. Another part of the science fiction theme is to be able to see scenes in the past and in the future. The alley-oop syndrome, the time machine syndrome, where instantaneously you're put into a machine and zap, 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 zap. You're in the 396,000th century, and you look around, see, I'm here. And you remain yourself, of course, that's important, see. You remain good old Ollie Hopnoodle, of P-Pack, New Jersey. But then, somehow, mysteriously, you're in the 300,000th century. And you can see everything that's going on at that time. And it's very exciting. You always have to return back to your basic century so you can come back and report to them. What it's going to be like. That's part of the things that you always want to do. There's another one, too, that it's kind of the reverse coin of that. And again, it's part of the time machine thing, see, where you are put into this machine and the buttons are pressed and they set all the dials and then zap! There you are walking around. 1,722,962,000 BC. And all around you are these enormous animals. And they're going, wow, wow. You're there with the ancient reptiles. Now, do you agree that you have thought about this from time to time? Just a little bit. That has intrigued you just a wee bit. And that, of course, these are all basic drives that we all share in one. Let's put it this way: we share it in a greater or lesser degree. Now, if you have these things to a totally, almost a full-blown, completely out of control degree, you spend all of your time sitting in the corner by the fern plants mooning. You become Miniver Cheevy. You ever hear Miniver Cheevy? Great character. Miniver Cheevy ruled the day that he was born. I'm paraphrasing it. I remember very well. Yes, he sighed for days of yore, Miniver Cheevy, when men wore chain mail. And that's right. And that's the Miniver Cheevy syndrome. And in a way, this is also part of that poor, sad crowd of nostalgists who somehow wished that they could instantaneously return to the days of Betty Boop. They could return to the days when the people really took stuff like a Mickey Mouse seriously. You could step into a time machine, see, zap, and you're back. Sadness, oh woe, oh tears, oh joy, future, present, past, all melding into one great, vast, swirling maelstrom. Little echo chamber, Joe. That great, swirling echo chamber of the consciousness of now, the consciousness of then, the consciousness of will be, the consciousness of possibly, of maybe, of yesterday, of now, today, tomorrow, gone, past, now, present. I knew that bugle have to come in eventually. Hello, test. Thank you, Joe. So just, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. That giant echo chamber, that vast, unfolding neon sign that blasts out, says, me, Aki, I'm here. That creeping radar antenna that immediately lights up when the TV camera's on you. All these things are all in the works. They got to be in the works. The mills grind fine. Indeed, they grind fine, but they grind exceedingly slow and exceedingly steady. They never stop. So take a deep breath, and don't forget to start collecting your chewing gum. You never know. You never know. No, you just never know. A few little nail clippings, little bits of hair there, maybe other things, too. Just keep that. This is WOR New York, Lester Smith in the news.